Hello and welcome all my fellow Dresden fanatics. This is this is our Dresden discussion for the two short story collections, Side Jobs and Briefcases. And I have with me today Chaz the Skull. And then we also have Joe Marcone, if you will. I love it, Joe. I know probably every time you go on a stream, somebody says something about it, but I definitely get the Marcone vibes from your Amazon picture. I love it.
I had long hair when I was younger, and then I tried growing it out again after COVID. I had the good beard too. I had like the Afghani warlord beard, and my wife did not like it. She made me cut the beard. I'm like, oh, I'm keeping the hair, and I kept the hair, and then she didn't like that. And after a while, I'm like, okay, you have to look at me more than I have to look at myself. So the hair went, and yeah. Oh, it's Warlock.
And here's Arthur Landry, the little late to the party guy. Lets Harry do all the work.
What can I say?
Oh man, but yeah, I at first I wasn't sure that we were gonna do this, and Chaz was like, hey, I'm gonna be going through the short, and I was like, you know what, it's I go through the books a lot, but I've probably only reread. I'm not sure if this might have been my first reread of these, and man, it was a good time. It was really and like I was talking with some people on Reddit and on in the Facebook group, and they're like, the good thing about the briefcases and side jobs is like most of it, not all of it, but most of it is more lighthearted. So it's like he's not trying to rip your heart out as much as he does in the actual books. But I really loved the very first story because it's not just a story that he just created for his, for somebody's anthology or whatever. It was the proto Dresden story.
Mm-hmm. Do you have one of those, Joe? Do you have a more than human story you wrote when you were like in high school?
Yes, he does.
Never been released.
And you know what's funny?
I'm the only one here that's read it.
After I wrote More Than a Vampire, I moved, and when we moved to the new house, moving all my stuff, I found my backpack from high school. And I unzipped it, and there it was the original 20,000 word story or whatever it was that I wrote, and I even had what's that?
Was it typed or like longhand written out?
Longhand. He didn't type nothing.
Wow.
I didn't have a computer until I was like a senior in high school.
I mean, Joe, you're borderline Luddite.
I mean, I have stories from a typewriter.
Nice.
Like
you fancy people who can afford your typewriter.
Wow. I feel so modern all of a sudden.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But the great thing about this story is like now Chad, you told me that he does have his little side notes that about the stories and stuff on the books because I listened to it. And I don't know if he actually had this re-edited for the anthology or not, because if he didn't, I think it's quality work, but he was like, it really wasn't anything great to see the light of day. And I'm like, are you kidding me? If that, I mean, Jim Butcher's a great writer, so maybe he probably would look at his stuff and be like, that's not good. I was like, I wish I could, but I love the story. You can see what he was wanting to do, keeping Dresden gets kind of wore down, right? Because he meets this girl, and of course you get the smarmy characters that we're used to from the Dresden carriage, how the little girl was so like, I don't need your help. Get away from me. I ran away. I didn't get kidnapped. And I'm like, that is such like Dresden smart, through, that we get throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, you could definitely tell it was early Butcher. So that's probably what he's referring to. You can definitely tell, but I mean, it felt like it fit perfectly fine within the Dresden canon. So, yeah,
it did. Yeah, it didn't feel like just completely out of place. Like he had reworked everything, and then he was like, "Well, if you want to see my earliest stuff, it doesn't make sense." Like it fits right in with how he, wrote Dresden for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, it's crazy to think about that. It's been 23 years.
Yeah. I mean,
since he started. Wow.
But I think what was the second one? The second one, I like the second one, which was the wedding, Billy and George's wedding.
That's the third one.
Was that the third story? What's the second story in the?
That's the one where Bob and Harry talk about advertising.
Yeah, but that was the second one.
What was that?
Vignette was the second one.
Which one was that? Maybe
Harry and Bob were sitting down talking about ways of advertising his
offerings. Okay, yeah. Where, and Bob is talking to him about like you gotta play it up. You gotta vanquish stuff. It's like that's what people want. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I totally that one spaced me out.
Forgettable. You completely forgot it.
Yeah.
Was that really short, or am I remembering it wrong?
It must have been.
It was pretty.
Yeah, it must have been really short. Maybe I just felt like it rolled right into one of the other stories.
I forgot.
Well, and it is honestly a little bit forgettable. I mean, it was fun, but it wasn't anything to write home about.
Well, it's not tricky because he's got a series, right? So you don't want to hit any big emotional beats. You kind of can, because you have to say, otherwise the story doesn't make sense. If you have this big emotional beat with a character between books 7 and 8, then in 8 that character better be changed, or your readers are going to notice that they hit this big emotional beat and they came out of it unchanged. Or you have to know most of your audience is only reading the novels, and then if the character does change, then they read book 8 and they're like, "Why did this person change?" And it's like you lose. They have to be kind of fluffy.
Honestly, I would consider it a disservice to the average consistent reader to do something like that. Like you should never ever force your consumers to purchase side content to understand your core series, regardless of what it is.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everyone I know struggles with this because for indie authors especially, you're encouraged to write shorts and give them away free, either as part of your Patreon or to get people to subscribe to your newsletter or something. And everyone's like, I got to write a prequel, but the prequels are really tricky. I mean, I did it. I have a prequel out, and it's like you got to put something in the prequel to make it worth reading. But if you put too much, then people who haven't read the prequel don't understand these characters. You're caught in the middle. Mm-hmm. So, but I think for the most part, he does a good job of skirting that. Except the Zeus stuff, I haven't finished the story, so I shouldn't speak about it. But and then some of the stuff he's just going to have to incorporate in the novels will be a little repetitive. Like I think like you can't just. I think we got some of this stuff with Butters we got in the books. Not the next sequence, but the feeling of that new-ish.
He learns how to be a knight in one of the short stories.
That's Briefcases. Yeah, that's one of the last. That's one of the last stories in Briefcases. Day 1.
Yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily needed for his character because everyone's expecting him to kind of know what he's doing when he gets back in the new core series. But that was a nice little bit of flavor text, so to speak, to watch him do that.
And maybe it might be blasphemous because I love Butters, but that was a story that I got a little bit into it, and then it was just I don't know. I like Butters better as the Batman Butters, using
Bob and his gadgets.
using the fog and using the lasso and using Bob and,
well, he can still
everything.
do those things. Well, I mean, I guess he doesn't have Bob very often out in the field or anything anymore.
Well, and
he's got a freaking lightsaber.
Yeah, and I'm sure he'll still do that. But yeah, I just and he could, and that's the thing. When you're doing a short story, you can't make it too epic. You don't want to kind of like you said, and that that's what I'm working with right now because I'm writing a short story book, and I'm just like, well. And you kind of gotta stagger the stories too. If you want a little bit of an action story, and then you want more of a detailed kind of, you don't want to shove action down someone's throat, short story after short story, and they kind of do that too. But the thing with the wedding, I liked because it was like before he wrote this short story, he did weirdly mention it when he was talking to threatening Maeve at one point in the books. He goes, I know it was you. He's like, I know it was you at Billy and George's wedding. And then that was kind of like a 1 or 2 sentence thing and it was over. Mm-hmm. And then you come back to the short story collection and you get to, and then he explains what happened. And I was like, I like that. I like that. He can pick up on just 1 or 2 sentences and make a whole, short story about it. Yeah. Jonathan just showed up here.
Hey.
Lurking, always lurking. That's what I do too. But I loved reincorporating what do you call it? Calls her Jenny Greenteeth or something like
that.
The ghoul.
Was it Green Teeth or Green Sleeves? Maybe. Yeah, I guess it was Green Teeth. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she gets a rough demise.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It was really, it was kind of, interesting to see Bob's like, hey, and he's like, well, what happened? He goes, well, at what point in the ceremony? He's like, Dresden, of course it's the kiss, Dresden. He's like, you can't let him kiss. It's like, such a fairy / Bob thing. But it is interesting, what would have actually happened. He was like, it would have linked them together, and he said she would have had some sort of power over them.
Yeah.
I love, and that's one thing in these short stories is we get some really cool concepts, and we don't have to go in order. We can kind of bounce around a little bit, but there are some really cool concepts that he drops in these short stories that I'm like, they have to come back up. There's no way that you can just drop that on us and then just never talk about it again. What is it? The Love Hurt story, right? Mm-hmm. Where they're at the carnival and couples have been dying, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And then Harry and Karen go to the carnival or whatever, and then they start falling in love, right?
Right.
And it was cute to kind of see them kind of act like a couple for a few minutes. And it was interesting how even when Karen figured out what was going on, she was like, can we just stay like this? She wanted to be that way. She wanted to just feel the way she was feeling. But she, it was, but of course,
happiness is infectious.
Yeah, it turns out that it's it was the Red Court trying to do to the White Court what the White Court did to the Black Court.
Right.
We see a lot. We see a lot of sort of stuff being laid out for Karen, right? That we see her relationship with the Valkyries starting, and the story with Marcone and Ward, hinting at what we may half of us suspect will happen in the next book now that she's dead and available for them.
Yeah, but when the Red Court vampire was talking about they were creating this, this would be a perfect thing to kind of bring back up. somebody else gets their hands on this technology or this potion or however they were concocting it, and to use it, either against the White Court or use it, Harry could figure out how to do it and have everybody take it to keep them,
Well, didn't it incorporate their saliva? With how intoxicating that stuff is and such. Because if it involved that,
they didn't
making
say
it anymore.
Yeah, they didn't say how they were making it. But yeah, because it had to have been like airborne, is what I'm thinking, because I don't think Harry and Karen took anything or whatever. They just kind of walked into the what was it? Some kind of like supposed to be some spooky ride or something.
Yeah, it was like a tunnel of love slash. I mean, it could have been like one of the little Halloween ones or whatnot there, but it was reminiscent of like a tunnel of love.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's something that's created so that once you cross the threshold of the tunnel that it activates or something like that.
Yeah. Well, it was. Yeah. It had to be that, or again, it could have been airborne. They could have been pumping it in or whatever.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But the cool thing is, like, when Harry was like, debating the vampire, he was just like, well, this isn't real love. And the vampire makes a good point. She's like, you are right. It's not real love, but if you feel this way for long enough, you'll probably fall in love. And I think that's Jim, Jim kind of saying what I kind of feel that's kind of a thing. It's like, okay, like if you're around somebody long enough, a lot of times it's not this instant love in real life.
Well, that's not necessarily even love. That's infatuation. That's it. That stuff goes away.
No, but I had this conversation with my wife literally in the car yesterday. I mean, this is how arranged marriages work. And most of the time they do work. I mean, we're in the West, we're not, we don't like look favorably on them, but lots of times, you're married to someone, you're sleeping with them every day, you have breakfast, you're raising your kids together, you're going to fall, unless they're not a good person.
Yeah,
you develop attachments. We're social creatures. We develop attachments.
Yeah, you fall in love. It may take some time, and sometimes you don't. I mean, sometimes a person's a jerk, right? That happens. But a lot of times I know lots of people who have had arranged marriages who are deeply in love 40 years later.
Well, and if you think about it like this, if we're thinking about this logically, it's like, okay, there's billions of people on Earth, right? You're going to be compatible with more than just one person, right?
Yeah. The concept of the soulmate, I've always found really funny, because of that.
Again, if you, if you Stockholm syndrome, but like if you were like in an arranged marriage and the thought in your mind is you don't even have this thought of divorce. It's not even a thing. It's like, this is just who I'm going to be with, right? Unless they turn out to be like a serial killer or a really bad person, you're probably just going to keep going with it. And eventually like you said, over time, you'll fall in love with, more than likely with them. If, especially in a, if that's the culture is, you're with this person, this is what you are, you're supposed to love them. And then eventually, you learn to love.
I mean,
and part of it with that story for me was like, even though it wasn't real, and Harry and Karen were having the love pulled over their eyes, so to speak. You kind of got to feel bad for Harry. I mean, the guy can never catch a break with Karen. Whether it's the love potion that's bringing them together, or Mab is torturing Harry with a dream about being with Karen in one of the other books, and then he wakes up and she just kind of coyly smiles at him.
We'll have to talk about that later.
Never can catch a break.
He's doomed by the structure of the series, right? It's a first person. It's a first person long running series. If they hooked up and they were happy, then you'd have boring.
Pretty boring, right? Yeah, exactly.
So again, I I run into this. I have a long-running series with one main character. Like, when is he gonna find true love? I'm like, book 24.
Yeah.
Right.
Give him one book to do it, and then I'll
then you got
end
to
it.
worry about us killing her.
At some point.
Yeah, I can do it in the last book, no problem, right? But you got to end it there, or give up on having romance.
Speaking of a crazy cool concept, Oblivion War.
Oh,
Come on, tell me that's not going to come back into play at some point.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
He plays with this idea of other places, right? Because it's very strongly hinted at about like that the story with Butters, where the whatever the creature, the Becca was sort of created by the belief of children in it, and like which is a very similar idea to this Oblivion Wars with people's memories of these creatures are giving them power and like a hold on the world, right? So I like magic. I like harder magic systems where they're sort of internally consistent, and this is a piece of that.
And I love the fact that we only learn about it from from Thomas's perspective and everything, because he's part of this group and this cabal or what have you and whatnot there, and they've made it a point not to let Harry know about it, because he would do the wrong thing thinking he was doing the right thing, because he's like, well, if I've got a Tomb of Eldritch Lore here that summons a bunch of demons, I'm gonna mass publish it so that we can send it out to as many people as possible, so that everybody does the ritual and they don't have enough power to do diddly squat. Well, that's the exact opposite thing you want done with these types of things. So I just really like the fact that our main character of our series here is, locked out of the loop intentionally, and it makes perfect sense why.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, they're not being like overly cautious. They're doing the right thing. That's good.
So what did you think about that concept, Chaz? Like, do you think it's going to rear its head at some point?
Oh, totally. I think he left too good an opening with it, because I mean there was one of the books, and I forget which one, that it was slightly hinted at, just barely, but we really didn't see much of it until this story, and so I mean he's obviously going to use it again. I mean, how can he not?
Yeah, and I think we also have to kind of like ask ourselves about Demon Reach, right? There's definitely gods that he said there are dark gods that are locked down there. So does that center of like stasis hold their power in place? So when they're released, they have their full amount of power instead of being forgotten, and just they're not fading into oblivion.
Well, I don't. I'm on the fence on whether or not we have anything of that caliber in Demon Reach. I don't think that we've got anything that would be up at that level. We're like honestly, the Oblivion War and everything involving with that. I mean, like that's a strong lean on Lovecraftian. That that's H.P. Lovecraft in a nutshell, right there.
Well, but I mean, we have the old gods are apparently with us, because we've got that one story here in the short stories.
That's it. That's in briefcases. Yeah. But let's go ahead and jump into that. We'll go ahead and jump into that, because it lends
itself to what we were just talking about. So it's a good segue.
Yeah. I did the review of this the other day, and and that's one of the things where I kind of went off. I'm like,
you're talking about Molly's story, right?
Yeah. Cold Case Alaska. So
right.
So you're telling me, like, Jim, you're telling us that the old ones are in your universe.
Yep.
Like literally Lovecraftian old, like.
Oh, dude, the moment that they were talking about things past the outer gates, my mind immediately went there. I've just been waiting. I've just been waiting for some confirmation. And that was awesome confirmation.
Yeah.
Because, like, Nathan, I know you're a big Lovecraftian guy, right? And
I don't think I'm that grotesque.
But like, there are beings and gods within Lovecraftian universe.
There's tiers. There are
they
tiers.
can like blink us out of existence, right?
Okay, you're talking about those would be considered the outer gods. So you've got the Great Old Ones, which would be Cthulhu and
Woo-hoo.
welcome.
Welcome.
You know, you got the Great Old Ones, Cthulhu, Hastur, Yig, a bunch of like a crap ton of them. They all span all kinds of different shapes and sizes and stuff like that. Their consistent trait is that they break reality wherever they are, and people that look on them go insane. Now, above them are the outer gods. Now, these things embody concepts, and these would be probably the things that they don't want anyone to know about from the Oblivion War, which would be, assuming he goes down this route. I mean, he could go anywhere. But this is where I think he's going to go. But you got 3 in particular. You got, well, all right, I'll say 4. You got Azathoth, which is they call him the blind idiot god. He's the nuclear chaos of all of creation. Like literally, existence is a dream to him. You know, he wakes up, existence stops.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I'm like, Jim, what are we doing?
Well, remember, this isn't going to be a perfect mesh up of that.
Well, I'm sure he's going to put his own spin on it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
But even then, this thing's already out. You know, if he did incorporate this thing's already outside of our reality. So, you know, whatever the hell he's dreaming, it's not us.
Do you think they're linked to the Outsiders?
Absolutely. That's what they are. That's what the Outsiders are. Or at least that's what I would consider.
But if you're a dude who wakes up and reality goes away, why are you sending us soldiers at a gate? Like that's.
Oh no, that's why they call him the blind idiot god. He's not aware. He's just sleeping. The other ones are the ones that like to screw around with shit. You got Shub Niggurath, which is the black goat with 1,000 young. This thing is
safe to say these names like online. What are we going to bring forth here?
Don't speak Latin from a book.
No one played a video back.
Yeah, we can't be pronouncing it correctly. Okay, that's the important thing.
Yeah. Goddamn correspondence courses.
So where Azathoth embodies entropy, Shub Niggurath would be the opposite. You know, constant growth, constant birth and existence. You know, creation. Now it doesn't have to be pleasant. You know, creation with agony is perfectly fine with these things.
Right.
And then the last of the big 3 would be Yog-Sothoth, and that thing embodies time. And then the 4th one I was talking about is Nyarlathotep. That they consider him kind of the mind of Azathoth. So, you know, like he's sort of, in a lot of ways, he's like the Walkers. So, you know, that's why you see a lot of comparisons there. They call him the crawling chaos, you know, with 1,000 forms or some crap where, you know, he's got at least one form for everything that's ever existed that'll make him go insane.
Well, yeah.
There's your primer on H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah. So there's our short thing. And like, okay, so let's bounce back to things that won't just destroy the entire universe. The warrior, right? So we get the national treasure. Michael Carpenter comes back. And this was pretty good because we got to see what Michael's capable of as a non-knight and what can push his buttons to, you know, take him kind of to the edge there.
He
and of course,
ass with a cane. You know, like at this
baseball
point,
bat.
Oh, was it a baseball bat? I couldn't remember.
Yeah, softball bat. His daughter's softball bat.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this was after he was maimed too, right? I believe.
Yeah. He was. Yeah.
So I mean, you got basically a crippled man beating your ass with a softball bat while you have, you know, a deity killing sword. Not that it would work for them to do anything with to Michael, but
and this was also, I don't know if he built this story because of what he said in the book, but he talked about that when he was in Ghost Story, and he was with the kid, and he told the kid to tell, oh my God,
Father Forthill.
Father Forthill is like, tell him about the secret door or whatever behind the wall, and he's like, oh my gosh, Harry, it is Harry. It's because he, this story, right? And I love how he can make those little connections. But it was pretty close, like where Michael was this close to like braining that guy, and it was Harry having to be the one to like.
It was a nice callback to Death Masks.
I'm not a good man. That's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorites right there, where he's like, yeah, they're good
Here's
men.
Here's a quarter. Call somebody who cares.
Harry. It's 50 cents, 50 right? Cents. I know that.
Oh man. And that's why Liver Spots wanted to kill him.
Oh my gosh. Oh, and then we have another one that was kind of, and nobody talks about because I think it was just a quick little one, was the honeymoon, where we got to know a little bit more about Valkyrie. I think that's really what that story was kind of about. I think this is the story where he's like, "Oh, you are a real Valkyrie,"
where she takes on the Grindelkin.
Yeah, and
that's the one that involved the beer fest or something, didn't it? Is that the one that had Max L, where he was like, am I mixing them up?
No, that was Last Call.
Last Call?
Right, yeah, that was Last Call. Yeah.
A lot of stories where some woman gets stolen by some evil creature, and someone's got to run to the rescue. I'm like, wait, I'm getting the stories like, how often do the werewolves get captured and have to be saved? Third story. And I'm sure they're spaced out more when he's writing them, because he's not writing these back to back. When you read them all back to back, it's like, we just did this, Harry or Jim.
The honeymoon and then Last Call were kind of similar, and you even had two of the same guys. The big dude that had like all the rings or whatever, he came back for Last Call, and I think actually did Harry end up actually fighting him in that one?
I genuinely can't remember.
Yeah, because in Last Call, that's where like Harry ends up at, because wasn't it a god of some sort, or was it a fairy?
I just read these. I should know.
I think Last Call is where it's either a god was
Dionysus, I think, wasn't it? The god of beer, or the god of debauchery.
Not Dionysius, but the other it was a female deity that
was she a Menard?
She hates what was it? Moderation. She hates moderation.
Moderation. Yeah.
She's like, what is this? This people in their moderation. I'm like, man, she should just go hang out at the local university, and then she'll be good to go.
Right.
But I do like that she was like, she was about to like unleash her like sex, alcohol, drug all over everybody at the Bulls game. I'm like that would have been fun. That would have been fun.
Yeah, and once again, Karen got roofied by it, right? And so
always
Karen would have been a willing participant for Harry, and he's like, no. It's never the right circumstance for Harry and Karen, I'm telling you.
What? Yeah. I'm trying to think. Did she make out with one of the ladies there?
She made out with the goddess who spiked the beer. Yeah,
she did.
Yeah.
Oh, Karen.
Oh my gosh. I know everybody loves Aftermath, but maybe my favorite was Day Off. I just love that. That was just, again, Harry can't catch. This is Harry and Lucio's story. Like, he can't catch a break. He's just like waking up late. Mickey Mouse has never let him down this whole series. wakes up late. Freaking Molly's like, I'm just gonna be downstairs. I'll be out of your hair in no time. In no
you
time.
Won't even know I'm there blowing up your basement.
Yeah, I remember that being a thing. Like, I remember an explosion happening in that.
Yes.
And that's a secret to a really fun action scene, is to have like 3 things going on at once.
Yeah.
This person's like attacking me. This person's setting a fire in my basement, and they're unrelated to each other, but it's happening, and you're trying to get them. And whenever if you can pull these off, they always are so much better than just 2 people fighting. So very binary.
It's
was
the
it the werewolves? Was it the werewolves in?
Oh,
like,
is that
they
that's
showed
the
up
one
naked or something?
Yeah, that like they were infected or something. They had like a magical infection, like magical fleas or something.
Yeah, magical.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
He's trying to deal with them over there.
Mm-hmm.
Molly's yelling at him in the background, like, hypothetically, if something was on fire, where is the? He's like,
hypothetically, for a friend. Right?
And
then he's trying to deal with what's his name being jealous because he thinks that Harry and
I'm not trying to steal your girl. And then Mouse and Mister are running around the room, and Harry's just like, it's my day off.
Just pure chaos. And that was the one that involved the werewolves fornicating as wolves, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he goes, tell me you guys didn't do this in Wolfie form. And they were like, oh my
if the mood strikes us, man.
The best part is when Lucio shows up at the door. Everything's just blowing up, and she just walks like, what did I walk into?
Yeah,
and he thought that she was like,
what it looks like. I promise.
Yeah, this isn't what it looks like. She goes, well, I can't even tell you what I think this looks like.
Mouth to mouth to a naked werewolf chick. Okay. I'm like, okay.
Oh my gosh, I'd love that. That was my favorite. And then of course, like, the most impactful one is the aftermath.
Yeah,
where Karen's having to deal with the Fomor kidnapping.
This was the first introduction of the Fomor.
I think so. I think you're right.
Like, especially chronologically, but like even publishing. I'm pretty sure that Side Josh came out way before Ghost Story.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Because this. Well, no. No, because
before Skin Game for sure.
This came out right before Ghost Story, because it was after. Because this is her, like, and he wrote this as like what being like 2 days after changes.
I thought it was immediately after. I thought it was her reaction, if I remember, of
because she still thought Harry. She still thinks Harry's alive. She's like.
Oh, that's right. That's right. She wasn't on the boat.
The first scene is they're on the boat doing the crime scene, or the second scene, but right at the beginning of the story. You know what's weird is that the Fomor really remind me of a lot of representations of Lovecraftian sort of lower.
Oh, deep ones for sure, like the deep ones.
And I'm trying to figure out if he's just tapping into the imagery because they make for good villains, because no one's going to root for the fish are inherently unsympathetic. Like if you have a bad guy, you're like, well, if they look like an orangutan, like we're gonna, or big, like Bigfoot, we're gonna be more sympathetic to. But if they look like a fish dude, no one's gonna be like, well,
like fish just have dead eyes, like you can. It's really difficult to sympathize or even empathize with a fish.
Right.
They don't blink. They don't have to blink, and their eyes are just static.
But then they bring in the dudes in Alaska, and I'm like, are these guys connected, or are we just gonna have 2 sets of fish guys who are unrelated to each other, who we can have as part of our monster manual?
Jim, I think, complicated things when he like the Fomor are legitimately Irish, like they're Irish folklore creatures, but I don't recall of whether or not they were aquatic or fish related.
Well,
I think he took that and he merged it with the deep ones.
Well, this is the whole thing. Like what I've wondered about the Fomor, because they talk about the Fomor is not a single nation of people. It's like a group
It's
of
just
like
a bunch of
it's a conglomerate. So did all of these other nations have to like evolve into like, because they said it was almost like they banished them to the sea. So did they all of a sudden like grow gills?
Well, did Ethne you have gills or what? All right, for before Chaz, where are you at in the books?
No.
I have not gotten to peace talks or battleground yet.
Okay,
Yeah,
we're not going to talk about any of that.
Yeah, none of this is all. I think this briefcases came out after Skin Game.
Sure. I believe so. It was
So
in that
before
deluge
Peace Talk, so
between
we're like in
Skin
that
Game and Peace Talks, the dark times that people don't want to talk about.
The 5 year
that I haven't read yet. That and the Law. I haven't read the Law yet, of course. So
That one wasn't that bad either. But yeah, I guess you're going to be reading those for, is it next month?
Yep, next month, back to back.
Yeah, so
I don't think we should do both of them at the same time. I really don't. They're so big. They're so large.
We can.
We're gonna.
Yeah.
This is gonna be
I'm
a
going to
very
disagree because I don't think they're good books on their own.
Yeah, no, I can see your point. I really can't.
Yeah,
they
we gotta
story.
put them together.
Yeah, it's one story.
Man, that's so much content. We're gonna be. It's gonna be a 2-hour stream. I guarantee you.
Most of them are about 2 hours, and I'm gonna try. I'm trying to get because I want to do it the last Sunday. So give everyone a month to get to them, and try to have Alex and Sarah back on, and we can just have the monster mashup for the last 2 books. You know, and yeah. Hey, and this is a perfect time before we go into some of these other stories on briefcases. Did you guys see the thing on Twitter, right?
Oh yeah, he started.
He finished the first chapter of the next Dresden book last week. He said 16 to 18 weeks. That means there's a possibility, depending on editing.
Until I hear a date, you're smoking hopium, man. You are smoking hopium. I won't say anything until we get a date.
I'm hyped. I don't take this from me.
I need this.
Because
George R. Martin, I would say that, Nathan, but it's Jim Butcher. I have confidence.
He's consistent. He's really good about it. But I'm just saying, he's hurt us all. He's hurt us all a few times now.
Well, the only reason that the next Dresden book isn't out is because he was writing the Olympian,
right?
Which I don't know if that's this. Is that the Cinder Spire or is that the other one?
Cinder Spires. I'm so excited.
I need to get into those. I haven't got it.
Those are the ones with the talking cats, right? He brought the cat. He made the cats like basically mulks or Malks.
It's a steampunk series. It's really good. I love the first book. So.
I still need to watch, or I still need to read his other series, the
Codex Alera.
Yeah, Codex Alera. Because that one's done. I could just burn through that.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, Jim is not like that 5-year gap wasn't really a 5-year gap. He's not like George R. Martin or Roth.
Throwing some shade.
Like he was writing other series, but he knew those series. Now, this is the conspiracy theory here. He knows those series aren't as big as the Dresden series, so he didn't want to drop a Dresden book and have his ex-wife take that money from him. So he was waiting until everything was finalized, and then all of a sudden, we get back-to-back books.
His ex-wife's gonna look at this stream and go, yeah, I want my royalties, and he's like, I didn't say that shit. That was a bunch of nobodies.
Yeah,
who they?
That's right. He knows what's up. Take a seat, George. Take your $100 million you got from HBO. And people,
he did Elden Ring, and that was like it for the gamers. That game is amazing.
Like, that's the thing. My theory on George is it's done or it's never gonna be done. It's already done. It's already done, and he's waiting till he passes, and then they're gonna drop him. Or he hasn't written hardly anything because all the money he got off of Game of Thrones, and he's writing shows and he's writing games. And no shade to anybody who writes video games or writes TV shows, but I would almost guarantee you it's easier to do that than to write a 1,000-page book that's cohesive to all the other 1,000-page books that he's written.
All right, so I consider this. I propose a third option here. I think that he has written. He could have arguably written the whole thing, but his ending is probably the same exact one that we got with HBO. And he went, "Shit, we got to rewrite this.
Got to change the ending now." They hated that.
I like the idea that they're done, edited, and ready to go, but he doesn't want to hear any crap. So, like, when I die, just he's
probably rich. And he doesn't need the royalties or anything from
I'm rich enough, but people want the end. They'll get the end, but let me die first. So I don't hear it.
Let them come. If they're mad, they'll know where I'm buried. They can come piss on my grave. I'm not gonna care.
Yep. He goes. I'm living life. You guys will have them when I die, and you can be mad at me if you want. Like I don't want to hear you being mad at me while I'm alive.
God, he'll put that on his. He'll have him put it on his gravestone. Stay mad.
Stay mad. Oh my gosh! But now I don't know if it's just because it was later in the series. Okay, Dresden has become immensely popular, and they can afford this. But it doesn't seem like Briefcases had a lot higher production value.
Yes.
Like we had multiple different voice actors and actresses, and I think we might have even had multiple within the same story on a few of these, like different, an ensemble cast on a couple of them, I think. But of course we had the best series of stories, and that's Working for Bigfoot.
I was about to say, Briefcases pisses me off. It pisses me off, man.
What?
I paid money for the Working for Bigfoot trilogy of stories for just that book, and then I go and get this one. I'm like, shit, they're all in this one too.
Now, Nathan, do they have physical copies of Working for Bigfoot?
I think so.
I want to buy one. I love the Bigfoot print on the front of because you had the Bigfoot by itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got that off of Audible, and then this comes out, and it's like, well, thanks for your money twice.
But I love, and I always tell people, I'm like, before you get to Skin Games, you need to do this, and it'll make you understand how powerful.
You'll understand better.
You'll understand the Janasqua. Mm-hmm. But I liked each one. I mean, you had the first one where and actually was Bees for Bigfoot, was that the first mention of the Svartalfs?
I think Working for Bigfoot was when that was published for the first time, I think.
Because he mentions the Svartalfs are like the two bullies, and then they have their own little Svartalf watchmen.
I think it depends on whether or not that was published before or after Ghost Story. I can't recall if it was or wasn't. Ghost Story, the Svartalfs get mentioned from Molly. She's talking about the Svartalfs and how they owed her a favor and everything. That's the first time I think chronological or at least publication wise you hear about them. But this is the first time they flesh it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and no, I don't know if Harry just gets a boost or no. Yeah, because that's in this one, Harry's I don't know if I could take this guy. He was kind of worried about if I have to go toe to toe with this guy, this might be pretty difficult. And
this was prior to Grave Peril in the timeline. So
that's right. Yeah,
he was really young.
But I liked it because you got to kind of see this kid is similar to Harry. He likes He likes to read fantasy books. What was he reading? Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Right.
Shout out. There's a black company shout out in Side Jobs that got me all happy.
No.
They're wrecking his house. They knocked a bunch of black company novels off the shelf. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Black company shout out. Nice. Thank you, Jim.
Well, and Jim does that. Like Jim will like shout out books and series and stuff that he really likes. And he goes, I'll just throw it because well, of course in Skin Game, he even kind of doesn't he break the wall there a little bit where he's like, I'm getting awfully close. We're getting awfully close to a copyright or something like that with the lightsaber or whatever.
Yeah. Well, they did that. Yeah. He ran that joke into the ground in Proven Guilty. I think that's when we had all of the lawyer-friendly cameo horror monsters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But Hammerhands.
Yeah, he never said
Bucky
any of their actual names, but.
That was fun.
Oh my gosh, but yeah, I mean, Jim is not afraid to, hype up other authors and other books within his own books and stuff. He makes no shame of it that he's a big nerd. And also I think is it this one or did we miss it from? Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about the Thomas's birthday. And where they were LARPing in the mall. That was great. And they were like, and because Jim LARPs, so like I didn't know these are probably real things where it's like, oh, you got to put your hand above your head if you're breaking character and all this stuff. And I was like, it's so cool.
Play D&D, there's rules and everything. It's the same with LARPing. LARPing is D&D but real.
Yeah. Real. I love it.
In real life.
Lightning bolt. Oh my god. But yeah, I really like that whole and anytime we get Thomas and his French stylist persona is amazing. I love it.
Yeah, the faux
Henry.
What's the word? Not pretentious. My brain keeps going to that, but it's not that. Like flamboyant, that's the word. Flamboyant as hell, French persona.
Harry even mentions in it, he's like, I'm too deep into this character now. He's like, I can't break his character, so I have to act like I'm the weirdo.
Everybody thinks that they're an eccentric couple.
Yeah, some kind of weird couple, and Harry's like, I can't break his character, so I just have to deal with it. I love it.
Harry.
Oh god! Every time I think about that, I think about the scene where one of them's I don't even remember anything about it other than it was deep in that persona, and they were making a scene because they had to throw somebody off with what they were talking about, and one of them points at Mouse and is like, I had to do this for the baby.
Yeah.
Oh god, that scene.
Oh gosh, I love it. Look at him. Look at the baby. And Mouse is just like,
I get attention. That's all I need.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and then one I really liked was the and it's weird. There's nothing big or there's no real fight scenes to really speak of, but I really loved the 4 A's of wizardry, where Harry is he's basically teaching a class.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And I really liked it because it kind of bounced back and forth. And I like when authors can do this well, where they're like, okay, we're sitting in front of a class, and the class is talking about like, oh, well, this is what you should do. And then he goes, well, actually, and then he jumps you into a section of the story. And then he's like, this is the first A. And then you figure out, and he kind of leads them through a whole story, but they jump in and out of it and, questioning and like ask, and well, this is probably what happens, or this is how I would have handled it. And he's like, yeah, you would have killed them. Here's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love Harry teaching.
Well, it's practicality versus theory. It's somebody that's actually been in the field and dealt with this stuff hands-on versus purely conceptually.
Chris Farley vibes. Who's living down in a van down by the river?
Good old Mick Foley.
Oh my gosh! But
that's the book. That's the short story that codifies Harry's undying hatred for ghouls, though, if I recall. Isn't that the one where the kids get caught by ghouls at the end?
No, that was in an actual book.
No, he talked about it in a book, but he didn't talk like. But did he flash back to it in that book? And I'm just conflating them.
I thought that story had this pseudo exorcism with the woman.
Yes, that's what that was. Yeah.
All right.
Was it the boogeyman? Was it like a boogeyman type thing? And the mother was a sensitive, and it turns out the oldest daughter was a sensitive too, and that's what was like. She was bringing these things to life or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
She was feeding it off her.
Yeah.
Uncle's traumatic experiences as a police officer investigating violent crimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember this better. I read this like 2 hours ago.
He's like, I should know this. I'm the same way, man. That's why I'm reread. That's why Nathan hasn't read these books in like a year or two, and I have to reread all these and then talk about them right afterwards.
Oh, dude, the short stories have been probably close to 5 or 6 years.
And another funny one.
This stuff just sticks with me.
Another funny one that like had to be dealt with at some point was the Curse of the Billy Goat. Right.
Oh yeah, that's like a great one.
I was like, how have you not talked about this yet, Jim? Like
it's Chicago.
I'm like, you're in Chicago. You're a wizard. How did it take you so long to get to it? And he even said it in his little note section or whatever, a little intro section. He goes, I was just waiting for the right time. He goes, and this just seemed like a good time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I love, like, it's a funny story, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also, he introduces another nation to us, a whole nother nation. And I'm like, I freaking love it. I love the fact that there's still more nations out there that are just chilling, doing their own thing, watching baseball games, and we know nothing about them yet. Because unless Harry really sees them or has a reason to tell us,
first person perspective.
How will we know, right? And I just love how he can kind of plug these in.
Well, and apparently the curse is lifted because they won the World Series.
I don't know if I assume he wrote this after they had won the World Series, and he just placed the story before, in the timeline before, because at the end the king was like. Yeah, the king was like,
do that.
Yeah, right. The king was like, they're gonna break through eventually. He goes, everything is starting to wane. He goes, I'm not gonna re-up the curse, but I'm not lifting it. He's like, yeah, I love it because he was like, when Harry first meets the guy, he goes, of course I was a goat. I was a perfect goat. He's like, it was raining outside. Goats are supposed to be stinky, and he's like, I don't. And then Harry's thinking in his own head, he goes, yeah, but they kicked you out because of that, right? You can understand why. But I love it. And then, of course, you get into the physical, like the whole story ended up being a whole thing about what? Like, I assume Jim's views on how baseball has become and sports in general have become just like about the money.
Right.
And that's all right. Yeah, he's like, yeah, that's all about the money. And the king's like, he has all the ticket stubs from like every major game. Right. I'm like, that's cool. It's cool that like, certain ones just take interest in just the mundane things. Kind of like Expeditionary Force, where the draft love our fantasy sports. But
fantasy football, man.
A big one that like a lot of people were talking about when I started, posting my reviews was Even Hand. A lot of people like the Marcone story.
Mm-hmm. It fleshes him out.
That was an interesting one.
What did you think about that, Chaz? Getting to see through Marcone's eyes.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing that stuck out to that one for me was right at the end, where he makes it very clear that he plans to have a showdown with Harry at some point. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen. So he's trying to have everything he possibly can in his arsenal to hopefully defeat Harry.
Yeah.
He makes it clear there's definitely no love there. They're just kind of tolerating each other. You know, it's a truce for now, but eventually that will change.
Well, and that was the cool thing. Like each device that was used, you could tell, and he even kind of said it at one point. It's like all of these are to stop Harry,
right?
Like, the water trick, and what we actually got to see these a little bit, right, in Skin Game, the claymores in the walls that he used against the guy, and I mean, that to me was the coolest part. I'm like, you can just see this build up. He's like, I'm learning every time I see Harry do something. I learn. Okay, water takes him down. Okay, a quick explosion of basically molten metal all around him. That would be a good way to take Harry down because his shield is normally one directional.
It's a classic thing, right? Marcone is set up as like, he's bad, but he doesn't harm kids. And he keeps his word.
Yep.
You know from the beginning, he's not really the bad guy, right? There's going to be someone else who's going to be the real bad guy at the end, and Harry and Marcone are going to be like back to back.
Yeah,
he's the and like guns, like shooting Fomor or something. And my theory is at the end of the book 25, they both go back in time. Harry becomes the Merlin, builds Demon Reach for himself much later, and Marcone becomes King Arthur.
Well, now that's interesting.
Marcone is a medieval, king.
Baron. Well, he's a baron. He's a modern day baron.
Yeah.
Yo, that is a good. I have not. I mean, we've all thought about the Harry as Merlin, right? But I hadn't thought about Marcone.
I mean, Merlin ages backwards, right? Well, why does Demon Reach recognize him? Because he built him, and
well, that's a very. I had not thought about that possibility. Yeah, that's pretty wild.
That's definitely an interesting hot take.
It's on YouTube now forever.
Okay. All right. Let's
your timestamp.
Let's go in on this. So does that mean that Marcone is Michael's ancestor then?
What could be more than that?
Oh wow.
Right? Because the sword, we learned that the swords get passed down through royalty, and then. Right? How crazy is that?
So wait. Would that mean that Marcone's going to take up Amaracus?
Dun dun dun.
That would be his then, if that were the case.
Possibly so. Yeah. Oh wow. The plot thickens. What really stood out to me about this story as well is if a mortal being like Johnny Marcone can take down a Fomor, Harry's got a serious enemy on his hands if they do ever
absolutely
face off. Because I mean, to my knowledge, I mean Karen could probably pull it off, but I mean Marcone with his ingenuity and quick decisive actions and stuff. Takes down a Fomor. Yeah, he's a serious match for Harry.
Well, and I mean, I guess you could say Marcone is kind of set up to be the Lex Luthor, right?
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
The most dangerous.
He already is in my eyes. I mean, he's already there.
Yeah. So, and that's always the most dangerous guy, the guy who has the intelligence and is not afraid.
The prepper. He's a prepper. He preps. Like we were just talking about everything he's done to prep for Harry. Like Marcone is in a perpetual please fuck around mode because he really wants him to find out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and we also got to see Guard do some freaking Norse magic, which is always cool. Like
The rune
like
magic.
And you got to see that the axe that she normally wields has like embedded like magical defenses in it.
It felt like a video game, right? Where like you'd see the big rune on the screen.
Yeah. It's going down. The health bar. The health bar is going down.
Little things flare off on the axe.
Yeah.
It's very
Oh my gosh.
good.
I love it.
It was good.
But a lot of people, and then also, I mean, we were talking about the Svart elves and everything, and of course, we figure he backtracks and gives us the story, and I always felt like we were gonna get it at some point. I always felt like he was gonna tell us why she got all that stuff, and it's from Bombshell. You know, and you gotta love Jim's naming of the stories, right? You know, Bombshell, a little on the nose,
A little bit.
But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, I actually tend to like Molly point of view stories.
Oh, I think they're fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's sufficiently different from Harry, so it can be a little refreshing in the same setting to get somebody that's a POV that isn't Harry.
You can definitely see how he's rubbed off on her though as well.
Oh yeah. There's definitely influences, but she's
definitely got
Star Trek. He's Star Wars. They'll never get along.
You can't. It's like oil and water.
Mesh.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's in this story that she really lays it down that she's got her sights set on Harry.
Yes.
But, so I even though I was shipping him and Karen, the reality is Karen is still mortal, and even though Molly is like technically mortal, she's a wizard, so she's going to have a long lifespan like Harry.
Well,
so
she's more than a wizard now.
Well, she's more than a wizard, yeah, but in any case, either way, she has a long lifespan.
A lady and a knight.
So that's be creepy, man. He knew her when she was two.
That's where my mind's going to. Like she's grown now, and when they're both in their hundreds, it won't really matter much.
This has always been the discussion, and Harry even says it. He's like, I've known you since you had a
training brawl.
Training brawl. He goes, it's not going to happen.
And why does he even have to phrase that in reference to her breasts? Like, I've known you since you were 10. No, he's gotta sneak in.
Well, hey, he could always have been worse. It could have always been worse. That's. I think that's a reasonable middle ground between. Hey, I remember you when you were 10, and hey, I remember when you had skeeter bites.
Well,
something like that.
Well, Jim is all about like putting something. When he describes someone, he always describes it as something. It's like always like there's always something else, and then this, and then there's that. So he was never gonna say, "Oh, I've known you since you was 10." But he could have said something else too. But he was always gonna put something on top of that.
The Butters story, the Asian, the demon where Butters is like in the hospital and he's got the sword and he's fighting her. He does not describe her in terms of how fuckable she is.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, so Jim Butcher knows how to write a character who doesn't see everything in terms of every woman is highly fuckable.
Because he's in a stable long-term relationship, though. He's not perpetually.
As a married man, I don't think that makes any difference. You see women that way, or you don't. I give my hand in marriage, not my eyes.
I like that.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, like
Butters describes women differently when he's the POV character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I was looking for that when she came in.
Well, yeah, I don't think it's a Butcher thing. I think he's intentionally doing it as a character flaw for Harry.
Yeah. I think so too. Yeah, I would agree. And I think I think at some point though, I am calling it, and I haven't read either of the next two books yet, but even though I want it to be Harry and Karen, I think it's probably going to end up Harry and Molly, and which is interesting too, because Molly technically outranks Harry.
You're not alone, Chad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, she's
she's the
his
winter lady.
queen.
He's the winter knight.
Well-
she technically outranks him.
But why
Well,
not
think-
Harry and Lucia?
What's that?
Why not Harry and Anastasia?
I don't think that's going to happen because the only reason they got together in the first place was because she was under her mind was
Yep.
corrupted by.
I mean, yeah, that being
yeah.
mind raped into a relationship adds some serious baggage to it. Let's just say that.
Well, and
Yeah.
with the Alaska story, we find out that it may
Ooh,
not be
yeah.
possible for Molly
be
to
with
have
anybody.
to have relations
Right,
with
exactly.
normal people.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
because of the
Immortal,
mantle. The
right?
mantle defends itself, and the mantle of the lady is chaste.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's like,
He could.
I mean, I don't think it's gonna. I don't know.
That sounds very
See,
fresh.
and this is the whole debate. It's like in the story, she's like, I'm still in love with Harry. You know, like she says it straight up. So and as once she becomes the Winter Lady, those feelings, and she even says it, like they kind of start taking over. Like, is she gonna now this might be a little I don't know if he'll do this, but like is Jim gonna have her force herself on Harry at some point in the future?
I don't think she can. I think
Well-
she'll black out. The mantle will take over, and it'll try to kill him.
Okay, so here's
He
take
can
it.
probably take it. I'm just saying.
I mean, he can go.
That'll
He,
be.
I mean, he can. He has his mantle thing where he turns into a beast. Remember?
Yeah. So I'm
People close their
okay,
eyes
so
and just let the mantles at it.
I'm gonna call
That might
this
be what
now.
happens.
I'm gonna call this now, but because she's technically representing the maiden, and the mantle does not allow her to, I'm gonna call it like this: if it starts leading that direction, something's gonna happen to Mab. Molly's gonna become the Queen of Winter, and then Harry is
Now
fair
that's
game.
that's very well may happen, but Mab's been on record multiple times saying, Harry, if anything happens to me, the first thing you should do is kill Molly because
She's not
you're
ready.
doing her a favor. So
Yeah.
I don't even like to me, her saying that just makes me think that if Molly became the new Mab, just that mantle would mind rape her. You know, she'd be burdened with glorious purpose, you know, to use a Loki quote.
Well, somewhat of a Ivy type of thing,
Possibly. Well,
where just everything gets dropped on you all at once, and you're just like, you can't be normal.
And honestly, this might be worse than Ivy's situation because Ivy would be the sum total of all human knowledge, which is mortal, you know, logical, you know, maybe not all logical, but all within the orders of reality, where Mab very well could have swaths of knowledge about things that are disordered, you know, outsiders.
But
things
she's
like that.
immortal. Ivy's not. Ivy's mortal.
That's it. No, exactly. She is immortal, and the mantle changes the person that's wearing it. So Molly would become the new Mab. She would cease to be Molly.
Jim's got to end up with someone we can imagine living under a lake holding a sword.
Someone's going to become Nimue.
I don't know who it's going to be, but that I'm sticking to that theory.
Oh my god!
Well, consider this alternative thought. Odin, you know, Donner Vanarag. How do you say his last name?
Vateron.
Vateron. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know why my brain wasn't saying that right. So Vateron, he told Harry and showed him explicitly that he can take on and take off mantles at will. Suppose
Depends on
they
what
just,
time of the year it is.
yeah. Well, but suppose you know, that's a skill that they can learn. You know, Molly could take the mantle off and hang it on, you know, hanging on the hat rack, so to speak. You know, at that point, she's just regular Molly.
Well, but you mean if she's the lady, or do
Yeah.
you mean if she becomes the queen?
No, the lady.
I was gonna say. I don't
I
think
don't
the
think
queen
Mab's
I don't think the queen works that way because
she's a higher
she
caliber.
has to be out there for the gates. You know.
Well, then you're seeing explicitly that the mantle is changing Molly, though. She can use electronics without destroying them now. It won't allow her to say certain things. She had the blackout out up in Alaska and ravaged Ramirez, not in a way he would have liked. All kinds of things.
Do you think that Molly is even at this point? Because I think, what does she say in here on the cold case? She says that Maeve has been derelict in duty for 200 years. So I don't know if that means that Maeve was 200 years old or she just hasn't been doing any of her work for 200 years.
I don't know, because how old was Sarissa? They were twins.
They never said. But
that pretty ambiguous.
But here's my thought. Do you think that Molly because Molly does have power, her power is just not the same as Harry's. Do you think that she's already more powerful than Maeve?
Oh, I think so. I think so. Maeve had all of the Winter Lady power set. That she had that mantle, but she didn't have what Molly had when she came into it. Like Molly brought more to the table than Maeve had initially. Because
when Molly first stepped off that ship, they weren't going to help her onto the shore, so she had to make her own way. And when what'd she say? She created an ice sheet 10 feet deep for a half a mile in every direction.
Right.
I'm like, that's some power.
Mm-hmm. I mean, she's not a weakling anymore. That's for damn sure. And the White Council they wouldn't touch her with a 20-foot pole. She's quite safe from them now.
And that's what Mab said. She goes, well, because when Harry was freaking out about it, she's like, well, you have now protected her. She's insulated from the White Council's justice. They cannot touch her.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't dare.
Yeah, you wouldn't dare. But another one that a lot of people were talking about was Fistful of Warlocks. Like, a lot of people really like the Lucio Western story.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the prequel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was cool that you kind of got to see her kind of in her prime. Maybe not. She probably hadn't reached her prime quite yet, but
she was the ripe young age of like 150 or something.
Yeah. She was like 150, 200 years old, something like that.
Just a whippersnapper, a youngin'.
She gets to go into battle with Mr. Wyatt Earp.
Right? And of course, I love it. I love anytime that fantasy writers like plug in a real life person into it, kind of like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Freaking love the movie.
The only
that was a great movie. Yeah.
I mean, the only one that makes it a little over the top would be Paul Bunyan or Pecos Bill. It was pretty over the top.
Shut your mouth.
The big blue ox is from the Winter Court somehow.
That thing is ice cold.
Oh my god. Yeah, Nathan. Don't you talk about Pecos Bill?
I have to say I must really be biased toward James Marsters, because I avoided the audiobook portions with other narrators, especially Jim Butcher. I'm sorry, Jim Butcher is not a good audiobook narrator. I skipped his narration altogether.
I mean, I give him a pass. I'll listen to it, and it doesn't bother me so much. But I will agree with you wholeheartedly that he doesn't hold a candle to Marsters. I don't think. I mean, about the only other one that I think would be rivaling Marsters in audiobook quality would be R.C. Bray.
R.C. Bray's awesome. Yeah. Now, actually, and it had nothing to do with the story, really, but it just got me to thinking, okay, so The reason Dresden doesn't have a sword is because Lucio was the one that made the swords, right? Mm-hmm. And she got her body switched, and this new body is either not strong enough or not adept to make those swords, right? But they had said that, and he's like, "Oh, the new wardens don't have swords," but all of them did previously. Like they always talked. The wardens always have their swords. They lost half of the wardens during the war. Why couldn't they just recycle the swords, or are the swords like tailored to the person?
I mean, Jim has not addressed this at all.
I was like, is this just a plot hole that we just?
If enough people bitch about it, like we're doing, he's gonna basically say that's exactly what it was. So shut the hell up.
Just gonna come back and because the next time he comes to one of the cons, whether it's Chicago or Indianapolis, like I'm going, like, you know, I got some questions for you, Jim.
One day I'll lock on your hair.
One day when this channel gets a little bit bigger, I'm gonna get him on here. But
you better have me on for that.
But we have another one, Jury Duty. I actually liked
that was great.
Yeah, it was great, right? It wasn't a big old story, but the story was really interesting. And you know, I like to see Harry being Daredevil, basically. You know, like
oh yeah.
Except for he's not the lawyer, he's the juror, and he's like,
right.
Well, justice can't be done here, so I have to go out and do it.
And once again, Marcone uses him, and he likes it.
Yes.
Right? There's this pattern they're having that we have to work together again. It's like, kiss already, guys. I don't know. I just feel like every book they get tighter and tighter, and they keep saying how much they hate each other.
We start seeing some BDSM shit. I think I'm out.
I don't seriously think they're going to end up, you know, romantic. That part was the joke. But they'll be allies eventually. That I do think.
Well, yeah, he's Marcone's a noble demon, and Harry knows that.
Anti-villain. Yeah.
Yeah, you could call it. I mean, he's probably an anti-villain, anti-hero at best.
But Harry still does the stuff where it's like, oh, but you know, Marcone, as soon as you slip up, I'm going to kill you, or I'm going to be there to stop you.
Oh yeah, that's the slap, kiss shit right there.
Yeah, stop.
Stop. I'm going to get you.
You're
keep
not
doing this.
What was it?
Don't be naughty.
It was
naughty people get spankings.
Yeah, the last time he did that, I think, was Skin Game. Right at the end, he's like puts his hand on this table. He's like, at some point, me and you are gonna have it out.
This fist, your anus. It'll happen.
Oh my god. But no, I liked, and you know what is funny? I like any time Harry slaps up the White Court. I don't know why. I just like it. Because the White. Yeah, they're smug. They're smug as hell.
Fun. It's fun to watch smug assholes get their comeuppance.
They're pretty. We always like seeing pretty things get destroyed.
Just like in Fight Club. I just want to destroy something beautiful.
I just love it. Like when Harry figures it out, and he like walks up and he's like, "Oh, okay." And I guess the White Court, she's like actually young. She was actually only 20 years old. And Harry is the elder statesman at that point where he goes, you haven't been doing this long enough. He's like, just go ahead and give me the girl, or it's going to be really bad for you. Like normally it's Harry's the other way. Like Harry's the 30, 25 to 40-year-old, and you got like the 250-year-old person telling him like, hey, young pup, sit down,
I wonder if we're going to, and maybe I missed stuff, but I wonder if we're going to see again the White Court vampire who's with the son of Bigfoot, because that was sort of interesting.
Oh yeah, right? Yeah.
They can be together, and she can feed on him, but he's so strong that maybe long term he'll be okay. And I'm like, I wonder, are other White Court vampires going to look at this and go, "This is like
I could do that
solution if we just find a big enough
source
food bag, or yeah, exactly.
Well,
yeah, and
if he can survive a dangerous orgy, I think he's probably going to be good.
yeah.
Well, we don't know,
Yeah.
we don't know if she's going to get older and start draining him too much. We don't know if being drained of all that energy month after month will kill him, or will it make him extra strong?
Yeah,
So,
It's very unclear to me.
that's what.
well,
that's what they
his
said
life force
towards the end.
regenerates and stuff like that, and getting stronger as it keeps doing that.
Yeah, and I think that's what Harry. I don't know if Harry said that or if what the heck is his name? What's Bigfoot's name? River
Strength
Shoulder.
of the river in his
Yeah,
shoulders.
yeah. I don't know if Harry said it or if River Shoulder said it. Where it's like, yeah, her father is going to try and have him killed because he can't allow it to be known that there's another way. There are other options. Like the White Court thinks you got to kill the first person. You got to kill him. You have to. And this shows them, no, it's not.
Imagine finding out that your whole life you've been doing all these terrible things because you thought you had no choice. Turns out you had a choice.
Yeah, you had a choice the whole time.
You didn't have to be so bad. You know.
Do you guys think about how either he's retconning how the White Court does things, or their relationship has some unfortunate implications? So in Blood Rights, oh gosh, what's her name? Inari, the young White Court girl that hasn't transformed yet.
Yeah,
well, I guess if she I guess I jumped the gun. If she already killed somebody initially and whatnot, it's not a retcon. But if she hadn't done that yet,
no, she hadn't killed anyone yet.
Well, then why didn't their true love kill her demon?
What do you mean? You mean
Inari's demon was killed because she was in actual love with her.
Yeah, their first time. If the first time you do it, it's with someone you love.
Yeah.
Irwin's, it wasn't that way. They were drunk and in 7 minutes of heaven. That wasn't love.
Okay. So
the
loophole is
if they technically already in love with Irwin.
Exactly. So the loophole is if they just got some some frisky going and didn't feel anything for the other person, demon gets charged up, and then they fall in love after the fact, and then she just feeds on him.
Yeah, because she told Harry when Irwin walked away to like grab drinks or something that like, oh yeah, we were we the first time I ever met him was at basically spin the bottle or fucking whatever, and we just ended up in the closet together.
That's just unfortunate, then, isn't it?
Yeah, and then Harry was like,
"This is why we wait until we're married, guys."
Yeah. And then Harry was like, because that was running in Harry's mind about like, why didn't that kill him then or whatever? And he, it's because Irwin's such a freaking reservoir of power. And I bet, like you said, I think they both come back at some point. And I think,
I'm sure.
I think Irwin, he's going to be something like massive because he was still like, he's going to be powerful too, not just tall or whatever, but
we're seeing more River Shoulders, so I think it only natural that we'll see more of his son.
Yeah, I mean,
for sure. Well, and it really left it open in that last story because obviously they're moving to Chicago. Yeah, they're moving and they're going to be close to Harry. So you gotta think that they're going to show up again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you can't be in Chicago and be some kind of supernatural person that we've talked to before and not run into Harry again. Like
we're gonna get kidnapped on your wedding night. It's gonna happen. Yeah, and they all do.
Man, that is kind of unfortunate for the White Court, though. Like, there's another option here, and it's just be into furry guys.
Somebody said something about furries up here, and I was like, okay, guys.
I like the bears. I'm a fan of the bears.
Yeah. Was Harry talking to River Shoulders, or was he talking to the lady? Because like of course, Irwin's mom is like 6'4" and burly, and she's like, yeah, she was talking. She was, I got stuck in the winter. Nobody was coming. They weren't going to be able to get to me for like a month.
What do you want from me?
He started leaving me food, and one thing led to another.
Okay, a guy shows up. He's warm. He's got a handful of berries. What the hell's a girl to do?
Right.
Oh my god.
It's kind of like Han Solo putting Luke inside the tauntaun. You know, you got to keep him.
She takes a big old handful of the berries, and he looks at her and goes, "Those were fermented."
A little more like Han Solo flying Chewbacca on a long flight in deep space, you know?
There's that too.
Oh my god.
We'll never speak of this again.
This is not the Bigfoot you were looking for.
Yeah, right.
You know what? That is something that Jim needs to address in the books. By the way, Harry's a huge Star Wars fan. Come on, there isn't at least one situation where he tried to do some kind of Jedi mind trick shit. Come on.
Oh yeah,
I would love to read that. I think it'd be hilarious, especially if he like sucks at it or if he botches it.
Yeah,
it doesn't work. Oh my gosh! But also, yeah, one thing we didn't talk about is in the Fistful of Warlocks, we got to meet a young it wasn't Gravane, it was the other one.
so yeah, Gravane was there.
Was it Gravane?
Yeah, Gravane was there, but he was kind of like
he was the one that was beating the drum, right?
Yeah. He was there in the background. Yeah, but yeah, he wasn't front and center. It was the other two guys, but Gravane was there. Yeah.
What and did it end up that the guy that she had locked up was that Kemmler?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
I'm pretty.
Kemmler was like riding off, and then because you didn't know until like at the end where she's like, "Oh, Kemmler made it, escaped," and you're like, "Oh shit!"
Name drop.
That was Kemmler. You know, and because we know what happens. We know what happens about 100 years, 80 years later. You know,
they kill him about 7 times.
Yeah, 7. Yeah, on the 7th time, it finally took.
Yeah,
as far as we know.
I'm still skeptical on that. Like, they held him up as maybe the single most powerful wizard in the world. He was taking
on the entire White Council
on his own, right? But somehow Corpse Takers came back multiple times. Really?
So you think he might be become one of the overarching big bads of the entire series? Like, maybe.
I wouldn't be disappointed if it happened. Yeah, I wouldn't be disappointed if Jim like brought him back up, like he actually didn't.
All right, if they do that, then he really should do it before the Apocalyptic Trilogy. Like you can't just pull him out of your ass like during the big apocalypse.
You can't Dos Ex Machina him or whatever. Yeah, but yeah,
wouldn't that be a Diabolus Ex Machina?
So what would happen then? Like, if he's still alive, what does that mean for Bob the Skull potentially returning to his old master?
I don't think our Bob would do that.
Well, he lopped it off, right?
He lopped
it off.
And Evil Bob didn't die at the end of Ghost Story. He just kind of fucked off in the Never Never somewhere.
Was it Cal? Was Cal there too?
No, I don't think he was. But Cal was not Gravane. He explicitly says that he's not Gravane. I'm sorry. Kemmler. He explicitly says he's not Kemmler.
Are they saying? Well, yeah.
Well, he says he's not. I mean, he could be a liar, but I don't think he'd have a reason to lie about that.
Yeah, I mean, unless he's been well.
I mean, if anything,
I'm trying to think.
Maybe
he went into a body that wasn't. Maybe he got Lucio'd. You know, he's still super strong, right? Cal is still really strong, but not as strong as you would assume Kemmler would be. Maybe he got sucked down into a weaker body.
I don't know. Well, maybe. At this point, we're all just speculating on a character that's been in, 2 books?
Yeah.
And one of them was kind of a cameo.
Yeah, I
three,
mean,
three books,
This
three books, two
is
cameos.
cool, though.
I forgot.
It would be just like Jim Butcher to do this, to pull Kimmler out towards the end of the series and be like, "Oh yeah, he's not dead. Just kidding." Like what?
Oh well,
the hell?
I think for sure he's gonna. I'm not doubting that Kimmler is going to show up, but at this point, I'm thinking it might be in Mirror Mirror. You know, like he didn't die in the parallel universe.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know, give everybody a taste of Kimmler since Kimmler's dead, and all that stuff there. But maybe, I mean, I'm not gonna roll it out. Jim's a bit of a wild card. It's hard to predict what he's gonna do.
So go ahead, Chaz.
No, that's all right. I'm just clarifying. So am I right that we have 12? Is it 12 months? Is that the next one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Unless he changes the name.
We've got Mirror Mirror and then the Apocalypse trilogy, and that ends it.
No. There's a few more. So
Okay.
Originally Mirror Mirror was supposed to be 17. No. Yeah. Well,
We should have 3 more and then the Apocalypse, because because I think he said
Battleground and Peace, or Peace Talks and Battleground should have been one book, so that should have been 16. That would make Mirror Mirror 17, but then he made Battleground 17, which made Mirror Mirror 18. But then he said I had to put something in between Battlegrounds and Mirror Mirror, so then 12 months became 18. So then Mirror Mirror becomes 19, and he wanted to have originally 12 or 20 case files.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's going to be 23 total. So
I'd say about 23.
Also, the wrestling book.
Yeah, that'll be that'll be after Mirror Mirror.
That'll be the 20th.
Well, yeah, now I guess.
Yeah, because he said he's going to write a book centered around professional wrestling or something. Or he even said what the name was going to be, but I can't remember what the name's supposed to be.
Did he? I don't remember that.
Yeah. I watched a convention that he was at. And he said what the name is supposed to be, or what he might be naming it, but I can't remember.
Well, I remember him talking about the subject matter and how it was going to center around wrestling, because a lot of the old gods and stuff became wrestlers for the wrestling worship.
Oh,
so you got freaking Zeus dropping elbows on people and shit. That's going to be hilarious.
Oh, that's great. That is great. But I think because the only one we haven't talked about is Zoo Day, and you haven't finished Zoo Day, so I don't want to, I mean, not that there's anything like
it's pretty straightforward. Yeah, it's not crazy.
It's how far into it are you like? Basically, it's like you got 3 stories in one, right? You got Harry's trying to take his daughter out there, and they're both acting awkward as hell toward each other, and
still
Mouse
getting to know each other.
And Mouse is the intermediary between the two, where Mouse is like, "You both are trying to say, I hope you like me." He goes, that's what Mouse basically says, like, And in
the audiobook, they gave Mouse a weird ass accent.
I love it.
That's a weird accent, man.
He's a food dog. So
and I thought Marsters actually pulled that off really quick. I looked up to make sure that was actually Marsters doing it, because he sounded Oriental. I mean, he did it. He pulled it off really well.
Man, okay. My mind always goes back to the scene in Changes when they all get turned into dogs and he talks like a normal person. So it threw me through a loop.
Literally going to bite your ass off.
Yeah. You're far from your source of power. I live with a wizard. I cheat.
I cheat. Yeah. I love it. And he keeps the same.
I mean, I don't hate it, guys. I'm just saying it's weird. It threw me through a loop.
Well, he actually does. Jim writes him very similar. Like, his attitude and everything is still very similar. A little bit of joking, in it, and like,
I mean, it was a great short story. Although it was. I mean, there is. Huh?
Did the creep thing throw you guys off?
The what?
The creeps that his daughter was talking about. Did that throw you guys off a little bit?
Well, yeah. Well,
I didn't finish the story. Do we end up? So reading it, I didn't read the last few pages, but I got almost all of it. reading it, I wasn't sure if they were real.
Yeah, me either. Like, I think they're real, but at the end, but it just seems a little weird to me. Not that Bigfoot and all this other stuff isn't weird, but you know.
So
it's
that,
almost
that
like
right there,
experiencing a level of supernatural entities that Jim is completely unaware of and doesn't know exists. And I'm like, well, where did that come from? It threw me off. I'm not saying it's bad.
This is him. He's breadcrumbing, is what he's doing. Because in interviews, he's talked about how he wanted to write a young adult series centered around Maggie, and how the kids have a whole different pantheon of monsters and stuff that they deal with. That as you become an adult, you completely forget about.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe that's why it kind of threw me off, because that's just not my jam.
Sweet grade money.
Young adults.
Jim's like, just wait. You know, people have talked to Jim about, like, why don't you write romance novels? And he goes, maybe I will if I want to make some real money. You know, that's where all the money is in the romance novels. And
a series of romance novel spinoffs from my series planned out. I got them in a drawer.
Yeah.
Cozy romances.
Yeah. So Jim's like, all right, before I get into the romance, I'm going to tap into that sweet YA money. You know, like
Joe calls that drawer that he's got those romance novels in the wet spot.
Oh my gosh.
No, this was never going to get monetized.
Right.
Luckily, I'm probably like a month away from hitting that. So you don't worry. You can just ruin this whole thing if you want, Nathan.
Yeah, but am I going to start getting bitched at after these are all done here once I ruin them when you start making money?
Yeah.
God damn it. This is my bottom line.
Yeah. Once I get monetized and I'm making a whole 10 cents a video. You're like, okay.
Well, we had to know that Maggie was going to come away with some kind of powers, because I mean, her mom being half vampire before she died, before she became a full vampire and got killed, basically. So we we all know that, you know, her mom was a half vampire when Maggie was conceived. So we knew that she was going to come away with some kind of powers, at the very least from Harry's side, and probably from her mom's side too.
Absolutely. Without a doubt, Harry's side's going to factor in there. But you bring up something I thought about a bunch, and it's that, you know, Susan was already a red court when Maggie was conceived. So I wonder if she'll develop any traits, any natural traits regarding that. You know, maybe as like a vampire or something.
Is that Blade's origin story?
Sort of. Yeah.
What if? And I'm just throwing shit to the wind at this point. What if Maggie, because she was the daughter of an almost vampire woman and a wizard, what if she becomes a rebirth of the Red Court?
Oh, she resurfaces.
I'm just saying.
Way to take it dark, Chaz.
That's only going to be dark if Harry has to kill her.
Well,
and no, they wouldn't. She's too useful as a motivator for Harry, that he's protecting.
Not just that, but
her. I think
that would be
too dark for this series.
If Jim wants to make a young adult series
for Harry, though,
what's that?
That would be the perfect crisis for Harry.
Oh, good Lord. I mean, that's the thing. Like, on an emotional level, I could totally see Jim do some really screwed up shit like that. But he wants to make a young adult series with her as the main character. So it's got to be after that.
No, she's find magical bullies in back alleys.
Well, you know what? If that were the case, like, the whole book would be Harry finding a way to force Mother Winter to make him another binding or unbinding or whatever.
Oh, the unraveling?
Yeah. That would be the whole thing. Like, how do I force her to make me one of these again? You know,
I'll just grab that
You have to go back
pile
in
of
time,
wormwood.
fix this, and become Merlin. And
Joe's like, I'm not letting this go.
I still want to know what the
saving the
hell.
daughter.
I want to know what the hell that British sounding thing in there was. That's what I want to see.
I am someone who needs to be here. Piss off.
I don't think you understand the concept of stasis.
Oh my god, I love it. But
Does it have to be him?
Well, why would he sound British?
He
Because
just
he just went back in time and spent 1,000 years in England as Merlin. You pick up accents when you live in a place. And he doesn't want his future self talking to him, like his past self talking to him in the future. That could cause all kinds of problems.
But I also think that
we know that.
I agree with you, but I also think that Harry would be stubborn enough to maintain his original accent just because fuck them.
I don't know. You over 1,000 years, you would just eventually,
it would just osmosis into your brain. I mean, you're right. You're right.
I mean, look, Madonna spent 2 years in England and then she started speaking English. What's going to happen?
That's Madonna, though. That's Madonna. Like I don't think she knows where she is half the time.
Oh my gosh.
She's like, when in Rome. Yeah.
But yeah, and you also have Mouse versus.
Well, this is what I was going to say. This to me comes off as such an ass pull. Like he just pulls this other bad food dog out of his ass.
But we know they were around.
They sent them all back.
Existed.
They sent them all back to freaking Tibet.
How hard is it to think that one of them did get sent back?
Why the hell would they? Why would it go bad?
Why would it? You are like you're.
What's he eat? Is he eating bad shit?
He probably got picked up by one of those crazy.
This
warlocks.
Is what's called speculation. We didn't get any information, so it comes off as an asshole.
But it's not like it's something that wouldn't have happened.
Trying to defend Jim.
You're acting like it's like this came out of nowhere.
It did.
We knew that there was a whole litter of puppies.
Anything about any of the food dogs other than Mouse? They all got sent to Tibet. At the very goddamn least, they should have speckled some stuff in there, like Ancient Mai's like some of the food dogs left. Some of the food dogs ran away. Why would you do that, Harry? You contaminated the damn dogs,
dude. That's no worse than okay. Harry and Susan had sex. Okay. 7 books later, they had a baby.
There was no polling going on there. Maggie proves that.
Oh my god. What has this evolved into?
Talk about modern.
Come on, man. You walked into that shit, man.
Not pulling out at all.
Oh my god.
You can't expect me not to say that when you set it up like that.
Joe has a gift for setting up the best jokes.
Right?
Oh my the best joke I've ever told on.
That is the story of my life right there.
Oh my gosh. So what was of these two collections, like Chaz, what were like we'll go around, like what was your favorite? Like obviously me, it's the Bigfoot stories. I love Bigfoot.
Oh yeah. For me, definitely the Bigfoot stories. Day Off was really good. And Aftermath. Aftermath was a good one for me too. Yeah.
Somber.
Yeah, very much so. Those were my favorites. Well, and Zoo Day. I enjoyed Zoo Day, but I did kind of get to a point where I was like, okay, so we're just basically retelling the whole story from 3 different perspectives. So it got a little bit old, but we got something new each time, so it was fine. But so I enjoyed Zoo Day, but it wasn't my favorite. But
all right, Joe, what you got?
I think the first Bigfoot story, and I don't remember the names of any of them, but the one where Molly thinks Dresden's dead, and she's like,
That's Bombshells, I think.
huh? Yeah, she's scrawny and
Yeah,
on the
Bombshell.
run and like not showering often enough, and maybe insane and knows. And I like that version of Molly, which unfortunately didn't last.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you on that. That was actually really interesting to watch. The psychology of it and everything, like her being damaged and like fractured and whatnot there, and you just wanted to see her try to put the pieces back together over some time, give it some development and everything. But then she goes, Winter Lady, and it's almost like instant Band-Aid.
Yeah.
They undid.
I think a lot of the damage to her was for the fact that she kind of blamed herself for Harry's death. And so then when she finds out he's alive, it's like, well, okay, I guess he's not dead. Maybe things were okay. I mean, she's still, I'm sure she's still broken over it, but maybe not as bad now that he's alive.
I mean, he blames herself. Plus, she's scrambling to try to keep Chicago in one piece with her mentor and much stronger, associate not in the picture, whether he's dead or not.
Not to mention the candle that she's got ever burning for him. I mean, like what he had her do for him, prior to changes and everything, or during changes, is there's no other way to say it. Is straight fucked up. Like she was in love with him, and so he had her wipe his mind from agreeing to wipe his mind so that he could schedule his own hit. Like the level of guilt involved there would be overwhelming.
Yeah, but I mean, he was in the mindset of at that point.
He wasn't in his right mind.
Whatever it takes.
Well, he was also being manipulated by a fallen angel and everything. So I mean, he gets a pass on that one. But
we've all been there.
Those rough days.
So Nathan, what say you for your favorite?
Without a doubt, Cold Case. That is by far my favorite, but I am a sucker for Lovecraftian stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, anything Lovecraftian hits the spot.
Is that Lady Molly in Alaska?
Yeah.
Okay. Just I forgot.
Other than that one, I can't remember the name of this one. But the one I think it wasn't Day Off. The one that involved Harry talking to a pissant, like crappy practitioner that wanted to duel him, and he pulls out his gun, and I'm fixing to defend myself. That one was just pure entertainment.
That was good.
I'm trying to. Was that Day Off? That might have been. I don't
recall.
Off.
I mean, it involved really crappy curses that didn't do anything but like annoy people.
They threw a pipe bomb through his window, and it turns out it was just a smoke bomb with a message inside. Next time,
we gotta get
not miss with my coven.
Just the surprise from the magic user and everything, thinking that I'm gonna do a magic. Harry would whip their ass in a magic duel too, but he's just like, this is the reason I like it is because he's practical. He's just, I'm gonna pull my gun out and shoot your ass. And they're like, what are you doing? That's not a duel. He's like, I'm defending myself. You said defend myself.
I love how Harry says that, over the entire series, he always says, he goes, two things they never expect. They never expect me to punch them in the face, and they never expect me to use a gun. He goes, well, why use magic when a bullet will do just fine?
Damn straight.
Yeah.
I love that.
But
and the other one would be the one that involves Thomas in the Oblivion War, but that's again Lovecraftian.
Yeah, I love that. Well, that one's a really short one too. But yeah, I love there's so many like cool little concepts through all these, and we're coming up here on about 2 hours, so it's almost time for me to hit the old dusty trail. But
me too.
Yeah, but I think all of you guys, like I said, we're gonna do the next two together. So we got one more video, and then we're gonna be caught up. I mean, we've been doing this for a long time, man. Like Chad, we've been rolling. But yeah, we're we'll go around. Chaz, what are you up to here shortly, and where can people find you?
Yeah. So my channel is Bookish Chaz. I've got my upcoming video. I've got the top 10 longest books on my Goodreads TBR. So that's
nice. That's a good one.
I've got a book review for a book called Touch of Fate coming up after that, and then my monthly update. So I've got some stuff coming down the line. I just recently released a review of the Farseer trilogy, so you can find that too. And
another one I got to get into.
I'm excited. I'm excited to be caught up with Dresden, man. It's
I can tell every time you talk about it, you're like, I'm getting close.
Yeah. I'm going to read The Law next month too. I'm going to read all 3. Yeah,
just roll it, man.
Yeah.
I'll probably, because I stopped. I was going to do Battlegrounds this month, but I stopped to do these 2, and I haven't done the Law. I'm not going to brag or anything, but somebody on here was the first person on the internet with a review of the Law.
You're welcome, guys.
Dude, I killed that thing. I woke up at like 4 a.m. when it hit Audible.
Man, you really did go all in.
Yeah,
nice.
I got like almost 400 views on that back when my channel had like 50 subscribers. So that's good for me.
Yeah.
But Joe, I know you just started your channel, so pumped.
Channel, I don't know how to find it. I think if you go to YouTube and search for JCM Berne, you'll find it. I have a show called Book Burning, where I talk about. I mostly talk about theory about books, like hard versus soft magic, sci-fi. I just released a video on why I made my main character not white. I'm looking for a fight on that one. So we'll see. So far, no one's really gone after me for it. So we'll see what happens with that. And
you're kind of more in the author tube.
Section. Philosophy of science fiction and fantasy. I'm a philosophy major by training. I did undergrad and grad school in philosophy. It's defining terms, coming at it from sort of the theory of the subject matter is always my tendency. So I'm not going to be reviewing anybody's books. I feel really awkward doing that. I know too many authors. I feel like I can't be honest, and if I can't be honest, then I don't want to do it. So I may review some old stuff that I grew up on, like Jim Starlin, Dreadstar, or something that I don't know Jim Starlin, and it was published in the 80s. So
yeah, I know some people are afraid to do indie authors because they want to be completely honest, and if they feel like if they crap on an indie book, it could kill it, especially depending on if it's a really big channel.
I mean, I'm not a big channel, so I know these, I know a lot of these guys. We hang out on Discord and stuff. I don't want to crap on someone's book and then have them be like, "You gave me 3.5 stars." And I'm like, I owe it to, I don't want to have that thought in my head when I'm talking about the rating.
It's so funny. Like, my wife gets more upset about reviews than I do. Like, somebody gave me a 3-star review. My wife's like, "Who gave you a 3?" I'm like, you know what? If 10,000 people want to buy my book and it gets 3 stars, I'll take the 10,000 buys. Like,
I'm 2-starred my second book, and then he 2-starred my third book, and I'm like, if you 2-starred book 2, why the hell did you even read book 3, man? Go home.
I hate reading it.
Out of here.
So, JR, what you're telling me is if I read your book and I give it less than 4 stars, I'm going to be hearing from your wife.
You might be hearing from my wife.
Yeah. If you do that to me, you're dead to me. I'm telling you right now.
You're dead to me. I tell everybody this. Anybody I've given a book to, the audiobook, I'm actually starting to see people, reviews come in for multiple books. You can be honest, man. Like, I'm new to the game. I know I'm still getting better. So if you want to be like, he still needs work, well, guess what? I know that too.
Never say that to people. That whole "gave me a book for an honest review." I'm like, I didn't ask for an honest review.
I asked for a 5-star.
5 stars.
I mean, so long as it doesn't start with "this book was an offense to the eyes," right? I need to find out where this author lives so I can personally kick his ass.
I'll only feel bad if the thing starts off like the Billy Madison thing, where it's like, we have all become dumber for reading this book,
and may God have mercy on your soul,
on our souls. I might feel bad if that's how you start the review.
I mean, you could have just said I didn't.
You don't have to worry about that.
Oh man!
But we, as far as Nathan goes, there is nowhere to find Nathan. He does not actually exist. He is just in the ether of the internet.
I am a figment of all your imaginations.
Just the green screen. In front of another green screen.
But I just want to thank everybody. I'm glad that we did the short stories. It was fun to relive them. So we got one more, guys. One more, and we'll be waiting for maybe Christmas.
Maybe.
I am hopeful.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out here, and we'll see you in the next one.